Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I just got a text. I need to call somebody. I don't know if it's urgent or not. Um, what's up, everybody? So we'll get started here, and then we'll see what's going on here. He might actually come in here. So I hope you all had a good weekend. It was. I've got a story for you. It's not good. I mean, nothing horrible happened, but it just shows you complacency, right? All you guys that say, I've been driving for 30 years, accident free, blah, blah, blah. Well, complacency can be your enemy, man. I was back in the pickup truck and I took out one of the support beams of my carport. I was looking in this mirror, but I wasn't looking in that mirror. I was over more than I thought, and I wiped it out. So Saturday morning was an emergency trip to Lowe's and getting some things prepped in place. Now, how does that involve trucking? Well, I used my load locks to brace everything up while I put the boards back up. So yeah, that was fun. I thought my wife was going to kill me when she got home, but then she was actually impressed about how quickly and how I was able to manage rescuing it. So, not urgent. Okay, Ted. I will call you after the live feed. So, but anyways, yeah. So, man, I'm still beating myself, and I got this blatant, ugly reminder every time I go outside and look at that. So, anyways, good morning. Other than that, I had a decent weekend. It was beautiful weather, except for we had some pretty good storms that came through Saturday night. I did a short on the other channel of the hail that we had, and I really need to get some views on the other channel. So I need to I need to be better about making more content on that channel. And I think I'm going to be focusing on fasting for a minute because I'm back to my old self, the old self that lost 120 pounds, the old self that was all about the keto 2 years ago, the one that the old Steve that had me just before the vid. And I feel like that again. It's been awesome. I've gone down to 281, which at the time of Matt's I was at 299. So I'm already losing. I know a lot of it's water weight, but I feel better. I'm thinking clear. I've got some ideas. Trying to help a spot market company grow in this market is extremely challenging. And trying to help people keep their businesses afloat, that's been challenging as well. And my message to people is if you see an opportunity that could help your business, or if you see an opportunity that you normally would not get, take it because it ain't going to be there tomorrow. So we still have some people making some money here. It is possible, but it's taken a lot of work and dedication to get it done. I often think about how I'd be running if I was still running. And I know I keep threatening to be back in the truck, but I've also acquired 2 new clients. So people are still needing some help. People are still, working at it. And you can either run from the problem or you can, you know, go to it head on and see what you can do. So as long as you're efficient, can manage your costs and have a plan in place, you're good to go. Do we have some tough times ahead of us, regardless of what platform you're driving, spot or company or whatever? Yes, we do. And that's something that you need to kind of have in the back of your mind. It might have been in the back of your mind, but you need to actually start executing some plans or some fail safes, or what are you going to do if? What are you going to do when? What are you going to do if this happens? What are you going to do when this happens? That kind of thing. And if you do that, then you'll get through this down market like any other down market. So, that might mean going company for a minute. That might mean shutting down your authority for a minute. That might mean getting rid of that truck that's costing you way too much money. So, could be anything. It could be just knowing your numbers. A lot of people still don't know their true numbers. And I think part of that is fear. And I want to talk about the term "I don't understand." Okay? In quotation marks. I don't understand. And I hear this a lot. Like, I don't understand why someone would want to do that. Or I don't understand why someone would want to buy a $220,000 truck. And so when you use the term "I don't understand," well, that should bring you to the next logical step. So, for example, I don't understand why it's tough getting out of Florida at a good rate. And we can sit there and blame people for taking cheap rate. We can sit there and blame this. We can sit there even blame it on supply and demand or whatever. But the reality is as soon as you know the root cause of why, once you understand why, then you can make your next steps and manipulate the situation to what you need it to do. Okay, I'm just going to live with the fact that we can't get more than, X amount out of Florida. How do I deal with that? And then a lot of times people like I know a guy that was an accountant told us how he loved watching Jeffrey Like and DIY and me. And then he called me up one day, asked him why he was struggling. I said, "Well, what's your numbers?" He didn't know. He was an accountant and didn't know. Now, it's easy for me to go, "Well, I don't understand why he wasn't keeping track of his numbers." So when a person sits there and says, I haven't been keeping track of my numbers, and I want to understand why. It could be anxiety. It could be fear. It could be laziness. It could be you don't think it's important. I had one person tell me that it stresses them out to do their numbers. It would stress me out to not do my numbers. Right? And so, like Mark Manson says, you have to pick your suffering. We're all suffering. We're all going to suffer in one way or another. You have to choose your suffering. And you almost like there comes a point where you almost become addicted to tracking your numbers. And if you can enjoy that, then you eliminate that problem. But a lot of people have trouble doing their numbers because either they don't know how, or they have anxiety. It causes them anxiety because if they truly did their numbers, they know that they're slowly going out of business, or they know that they shouldn't have bought that boat last year, or that RV, or that brand new car, when rates are really good, or buying that W9 when fuel, not knowing that fuel was going to go up, to $6 a gallon. These are the anxieties that keep people from doing their numbers. And so the business health assessment tool that Pigtail is putting together, a lot of people, carriers included, aren't going to want that information out because they're going to refuse the information. And then the other, I don't understand, well, that person lives in their truck. They don't have any bills at home. I don't understand why they went out of business. Well, then you find out, hey, what could you have done better? What could you have done different? Why are you only one breakdown away from going out of business, even though you don't have huge expenses at home? It might be a money management issue. It might be a gambling problem. It might be not a very efficient runner. You're sitting for 3 or 4 days, between loads because you can't pull the trigger on anything. So the term "I don't understand" should bring you to your next question. If a driver or somebody comes up to me and goes, "Steve, I don't understand why I'm not making it." Well, what are your numbers? Well, I don't track my numbers. Okay, well, instead of me just, "Well, I don't understand why you don't," I go, "Okay, well, let's try to understand why you're not." Well, I'm afraid of knowing the truth. Yeah, but eventually the truth will set you free. You may not be as bad off as you think, and you've been avoiding doing your numbers this whole time, not realizing that you're really not that bad off. And I think that deep down inside, okay, so like someone might go, "I don't understand why you don't want to be an owner operator or why you would want to be an owner operator." Well, what makes a person say that? Like if someone comes up, "Hey Steve, I want to be an owner operator." Instead of going, "I don't understand why you would," I go, "Well, let me understand. Why do you want to become an owner operator? Why do you want to be a business owner? What are your goals? Is it about money? Is it about freedom?" Well, if it's about freedom, a $5,000 a month truck note is not freedom. Is it about controlling how and who you do business with? Okay, that's cool. Do you have the skill set to apply that? Like, are you willing to make the sales calls? Are you willing to go anytime, anywhere, and develop relationships with brokers if that's who you're going to choose to work with, and make sure that you stay running? Are you willing to put in the work to eliminate your costs as much as possible so you can run with a little bit more flexibility, with a little bit more profitability than, say, the person next to you? These are all things that should be going through your head. So whenever someone does the blanket, "I don't understand why," and just kind of leaves it at that, you need to understand why. You need to understand why for yourself. I don't understand why I can't get off the couch and and not not watch TikTok. Okay, well, obviously there's some anxiety there. There's some depression there. TikTok's got a hold of you. So what's causing that? What's causing you to not be able to put your phone out of your hand for 5, 10, 20 minutes? And so what happens is, so this is why I recommend any kind of fast where you go 30 days without something, go 30 days without TikTok, go 30 days without Facebook, go 30 days without beer, go 30 days without coffee. And so you can see how things have a hold on you. And so maybe you're having trouble running your numbers because you don't have time. But yet, when you realize that you've spent 2 hours on TikTok watching stupid crap, or maybe you're watching these business videos, these business TikToks that make you go, "Wow, I feel better about myself because I'm watching this," but then you never act on it. Now you can figure out the root of why you're not acting on it, or why you can't put the phone down. Wow, I didn't realize how impulsive it is to want to put the phone in my hand if I'm going without Facebook or Instagram or TikTok for a month. You really see it's kind of like, I mean, we all know that cigarettes are addictive. We all know that alcohol can be addictive. We all know that caffeine can be addictive. But there are addictions that you have that you don't realize you have. And so when you go pick something, go without it for 30 days. Pick one thing. And then you'll really start to see, wow, I have 5 hours extra this week. hey, that's just enough time to get on the computer, get on the trucking office, get on the spreadsheet, get out the pen and paper and put some math together to figure out why this market kind of sucks for me. It's all but we're easily distracted. We'd rather, I had anxiety. I didn't want to do my numbers. I didn't want to take the time to um, do what needed to be done. It was just easier for me to grab some Popeye's chicken and watch Netflix and go out in a food coma. Wake up the next day, drop and hook an orange trailer and go. It was just easier. But why was it? What was I fighting? I was fighting anxiety. I was addicted to the food, and I didn't handle stress well. It wasn't until my weight loss that some clarity came in. I'm like, wow, I'm kind of an ass. I need to change a few things up. So that's my life lesson for the morning. Let's go over to the comments, shall we? Trying to be better about cutting up these live feeds and putting them out. So, anyways, good morning, CB. You are first. Pigtail, what's up? Good morning, Snorelord and everyone. Trucking along with Kiersey. I haven't seen you in a minute. Wow, hope you're doing well. 37 in Kansas today, Burr. Stuart, what's up? Desert Okie Pam, good morning. Carlos, good morning. This Trucking Life, greetings. Dennis Richardville, good morning, folks. CDN, good morning. My name is Nobody. How's it going? Good morning, everybody. Have a great day with both feet. Thank you. Break 19 for a radio check from Atlanta. Urban Network Trucking Podcast. How's it going? Cool trucking. How's the renovation going? Tennessee, what's up? SpaceX is launching the Starship today, doing a test. It will be the biggest and most engines ever fired. Wow. Bet you that burns a lot of fuel up. Should have filmed the carport repair for the OG channel. It was because then people don't need to know my lack of carpentry skills. Because here's the thing: there's so many people who went, "Oh, I would have done this." It was an emergency situation because if I did not fix it, and I knew the wind was going to pick up, I knew the storms because they were calling for 60-mile-per-hour wind and hail that afternoon. So it was a time crunch, and it's wrong. I mean, it's not it's a temporary fix, and but the longer what I should have done is I should have put the load lock up there first, so it wasn't dangling, and then went to Lowe's, but I didn't. I didn't think of the load lock thing until, and then we used a floor jack. I had a floor jack and a load lock. And what's funny is I have these two load locks that I bought. They're the kind that collapse within themselves, the square ones that you can put in your side box. And I end up taking it out of my truck because I've got the rack on the back of my truck, and so it's just easier to grab those. And those slide ones, they tend to pinch, right? And so the two knobs that hold the bar together after you uncollapse it, after you expand it, I guess that would be the proper term. They weren't working properly on one of them, so but um they were good in the pinch. But then ended up grabbing, like, I used 3 different load locks or 2 to prop it all up. So will work for Chrome, support my cause. Shane, what's up? Help me understand why. There you go. Mr. Charles, good morning. It is not if then, it's a when phrase. If when this happens, when this will happen, it's all a mindset of having a plan of some sort. Old school, new school. I agree. What are you gonna? A lot of us were saying, if you would have said the term, what if fuel gets up to $7 a gallon, and no one had an answer because no one suspected that would ever happen until last year when it almost did. And so yeah, what if, so that might be a if when kind of a thing. But as the last 2 years have should have taught us, is that anything can happen. There could be one incident that sets everything off, that completely changes our landscape. Like the vid did, right? That just comes out of nowhere, comes out of the blue, and it's hard to prepare for everything. And so, how do you treat a down market? The same way you treat a good market. Keep your costs as low as possible, run as efficiently as possible, and be open to change if you need to. Number one cause is mismanagement. It also can mean it's time to retire. It's amazing how much stress we are under trying not feeling like a quitter, but once we decide to retire, the stress melted away, and that's good. That's probably what you needed, right? So that's good that you found that. SST resembles cool trucking statement. Trucking along with accuracy. I see this with many fleet owners. They don't know how much it costs to have a driver. That's it, right? A lot of people ask me why I don't put someone in the truck, because there's not enough meat on the bone to pay the truck and to pay the driver and to pay me all at the same time. You know, it's just not going to happen. Flat out, it's not going to happen. To get my 80% from the carrier and to pay a driver and still be able to put money to the truck, if it's possible, no one has been able to show me. And I've seen it fail many, many, many times in the course of, since 2014, since I've been an owner operator. Excuse me while I read this text here. Oh, sorry, I had to deal with that. Wait, we're not supposed to be investing our money in Chrome, loose women, and all the roulette wheel? That's the old way. Really? That's the old way, CB. T-Bone, good morning. My AT&T phone said my watch time last month was 40 hours. Man, that's a lot, especially when my T-Mobile phone had more watch time. I have a weekly report that Verizon sends me every Saturday morning or Sunday morning. And it's amazing how much time, and your phones will do that. You can go to I don't care what your service is, it could be any phone. It will tell you how much time you're on certain apps. And you'll be amazed that you might spend 5-6 hours on something that you didn't even realize it, because it's 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here. My top are always YouTube, because I do listen, and Spotify, because I do listen. And then on the business phone, it's always like low board messages. I forget what the third one is. So your first live post went up on your Facebook page? I didn't even know you had a Facebook page. Load locks made in China for 25 cents. I swear they flew to the USA with stuff that doesn't work. That's true. If we ever go to war, we won't be able to build anything. All we have is, yeah. Well, that's the reality, right? Brokers posting multi drops as a 1-in-1 as possible is ticking you off this morning. Yep, they do that for the numbers, right? So they'll either post it as like at the average or below average rate, and then they will and then you call, and then you come to find out it's a multi stop. But they still expect you to do it for the average money. And that's weird. And I didn't even have it running, that's why. So um but it is annoying, right? David Edwards, good morning. Why do you think they call them brokers? That's funny. Trucker Jason, good morning. Hey, look, only 30 minutes late today, getting 15 minutes early each live. There you go. By next week, you should be like waiting with bated breath 30 minutes beforehand, right? So good to see you, Don. Hope you're all well. Hope that one broker's not gonna take you to the cleaners. Anyways, let's get the 123 low board up, shall we? Let's take a look at some volumes, and then let's take a look at some directions here. Do. All right. We'll actually take a look at the dat board as well, because I want to show you guys some interesting things. Now I don't have truckstop.com. I don't have that one. So let's see. Let's do load availability first. That's my favorite feature. Why is that? Because if you know where the freight is, you have better chances of getting what you need, or the power of being able to be told no more times without running through all the freight in the area. So here's reefer across the region, across the nation. As you can see, California is, Texas, Missouri, Minnesota, Wisconsin. The highest numbers are Texas. Florida is a little bit better, but it's still lopsided. A lot of interstate going on in Florida. New York, um, Pennsylvania, 324 outbound, 285 inbound. Ohio is about even. Indiana is about even. Illinois is more out than going in. Missouri is about even. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at good old Mo. This is for reefer. St. Louis to Eau Claire. I know what this load is. This is a load of beer, and these were running for 1,000. Now they're at 750. As you can see, the cargo chief reflects what I've just said, that these usually go for 1,000. Here lately, I've been able to score them for about 9. But I haven't done one of these in a couple of months, so that might be a different story. Surge usually does not like to negotiate too much. You might get them up 100. So if you do it for 850, that's still like, for a daily rate, that's actually not bad for van, but this is a reefer, so but it just depends on what your costs are that might work for you. Columbia, Missouri to Dwight, Illinois. Agricultural logistics. No posted rate. One pick, one drop, 35 degrees. Cargo Chief is showing 898, so about the same. 307 miles. So not a bad average on that. 240 to 263. Cargo Chief is showing 295. 323 was the highest. And you are going into a good area. Illinois, Dwight, Illinois to anywhere is 118 loads. So you can kind of see that that's probably a decent spot, and it's green on our map here. You go Perryville, Missouri to Royal Palm Beach, Florida. Picks up today at 1, delivers on the 19th at 1 a.m. It's Wednesday. It's pretty far south into Florida. They've got it posted for 27. I probably wouldn't go in there for less than 3. And then also, if you can find a decent backhaul out of there. I don't know what it's like to get a reefer out of deep South Florida. I've never done that. Let's see. Longtown, Missouri to West Palm Beach. Is that the... No, that's... Let's see where they're at. No posted rate. Cargo Chief is showing about 29. The high was 326 to 281. Picks up today, doesn't say a delivery time or date. So let's eliminate that here. Let's see. Let's look at Texas. Let's see where the highest paying loads are coming out of. So what you can do is you can sort by rate. Now you can do rate or rate per mile. Rate will give you the overall, like this will give you the high end long haul. But then the rate per mile might give you all the super short. So let's look at rate on the filter. See Laredo to Kent, 5150. Picks up Wednesday, delivers Tuesday for 2,200 miles. A little bit lower than what it's usually been running. Frozen fruit. Yep. So your costs are going to be higher on this. What's the weight on this? 42. So your cost per mile on this run is going to be higher, and actually your cost per day because of the reefer fuel to keep that fruit frozen. And if you don't have fuel efficient equipment on that reefer trailer, then that's going to cost you more. Here we go. Far Texas, Monroe Township, $5,000. They're at $5,000 for that. Rate check's at 46. So internet's being stupid again. Let's see. Not much info on that. Picks up at 12 o'clock on Wednesday. Delivers, looks like Sunday in Monroe Township. I'm going to guess it's probably a Costco load. But that's just an assumption, not fact. A lot of people on YouTube, they mistake those two things. So a lot of stuff coming out of Edinburgh, Laredo, Hidalgo, China Grove, Abilene. Let's take a look at this Abilene. Abilene's usually tough to get out of. They're only at $1.99, so that reflects that, right? Cargo Chief is showing 235. So they're down quite a bit as far as what they're posting. Picks up tomorrow, goes to Oregon. And of course, your cost per mile per day is going to be higher on this one because of fuel, because of mountains, because of weather. Doesn't say what the product is. All right, so enough of that. Let's go to Van. Van has been pretty dismal A lot more yellows than greens here on this one. Let's take a look at Jersey, because Jersey's always green, but yet it's tough to get a decent rate out of there for Van. And they know it, and they'll utilize that. Seeing a lot of posted rates for $1.67, $1.28, $1.28. So let's do the rate per mile filter here. Here's $11.59 a mile. I can get on YouTube and brag how I just got $11.59 a mile for this load that pays $475 going into the Bronx. Gotta love it, right? And some people would do that. Some people would actually brag like, dude, I got $11.59 a mile. I don't know why everybody's complaining about these rates, whatever. Look at me. $5.85 a mile to go from Edison, New Jersey to Newburgh, New York. So let's see where all the long haul stuff is. Right. Again, Oregon, California. See here, Surge wants to pay you $3,500 to go into California. It's long hauls. Look, traditionally, long haul has always been a cheaper rate per mile. It's the way it's always been. As you can see, the history proves that. They're about 600 less than where Cargo Chief has been putting it. Team driven, yes. That's the other thing. Surge just doing a lot of these. Oh, all of a sudden it's a team load because they're waiting till the last minute to book these. And so let's look at the rates coming out of California. So you can see Long Beach going anywhere. Let's take a look at that rate per mile on the average. $1.52, $2.16. If you stay in that I-5 corridor, you can usually, that's where your best money is per mile. But here's $38.86, $1.52 a mile going to Virginia. Here's Brookshire, Texas, 80 cents a mile. Let's click on that one. Now, are you going to call on this? Is it a partial? If it's a partial and they're not listing it as a partial. Here's another one. Bueno Park to Dallas, Texas, 86 cents a mile. Is it a partial? 40,000 pounds. Oh, my bad. I apologize. 66 cents a mile for 40,000 pounds to go from California to Dallas, Texas. And what's going to happen is either that's a typo, which I doubt it is, and that guy's not going to take any calls. He'll be email only because he knows he's going to get yelled at for that. So, go back to our original conversation. I don't understand why they would try to move a load at $900, 66 cents a mile. I don't understand how they think that I can stay in business if I haul that. I don't understand why they would even try that. When you find the answers to that, when you make it a point to understand why that load's posted like that, why they expect that, well, number one, first thing you're going to realize is that most brokers, not all, but most brokers don't care about your profit margin. They don't care about your costs. They don't care about all the risks. You can sit there and tell them that you're holding all the risk and you hold all the expenses or whatever. A lot of them don't care. The important ones that do care, the important ones that want to keep their carrier relationships, they're already working with their good carriers right now. Let that sink in. That load is not on this board. It's not on the DAP board. It's not on Truckstop. That load went via email to the person that they wanted to haul it. So if you call on that load and that's legit, ask them why is this so low? They're like, why is it so cheap? Do it nice. It's like, wow, that's really under what my cost even are. Can you explain why? So I don't bother you anymore. Can you explain why this is priced so low? Is it the customer? Is it you? Is it what's going on here? And if they're honest with you, then you might learn something. If they're not, if they hang up, well, it sucks to be you, click, then you don't want to deal with that person anyways. Because if you make an effort to try to understand something and they throw that in your face and hang up on you, you don't want to be in business with that person anyways. Because there's other loads. Hell, you can be $1 a mile and be better off than this load. So you need to understand why, and that might start a conversation like, well, I know that one's low, but I've got this one. This is at this. And it's possible that load will move for $1.25, but you feel like you've won because you got them up from 66. Well, I've almost doubled their rate. So you got to figure out why that's happening. Shane says, because I can move it for that. And so whether that's true or not, here's your response. I've had this response. I've used this response. Well, I move these all day long for X amount per mile, all day and every day. I move 5 of these a day at this rate. And you just go, okay, well, thank you for your time. That's lower than what I need it to be, because fuel alone is like 50 cents a mile. So I'll tell you what, if anything changes, give me a call. But at this point, just have a good day, and you leave it at that. Because if they could move it for that, it wouldn't be on the low board. They want to move it for that. And so, and I like CDN's approach here. Use the term your rate is aggressive versus cost of that load. Any reason why? There you go. That's a great term. Text that to me, CDN, because that is, it is aggressive, right? Yeah, and then CDN. Interesting that you still have this load posted at 6 hours old. Call their bluff. And so there are ways to because if that creates, if what looking at this load creates an emotional reaction, be aware of that, figure out why it creates an emotional reaction, and then adapt and overcome from that, right? Some people see this load like, they start singing for death metal bands and stuff. Me, I'm just like, okay, if that's a typo, then funny. But if it's not a typo, then like, okay, good luck with that. I won't even call on that, which is part of the purpose. They don't want the hard negotiators to call on that load. Now, EPS is usually pretty decent, so this surprises me. EPS is pretty decent. They're not usually the low ballers in my experience. Maybe with somebody else, it is. Shane says most of the time, really cheap loads are put on rookie brokers. They're just as miserable trying to move it as you are, and I do know that for a fact, because you guys got to understand one of the benefits of me being at home and doing this dispatch and helping people is that I've created these bonds with a lot of these brokers. And so they're telling me things, they're giving me information behind the scenes. I have access to our broker TMS. And so I can kind of see the inner workings. You know, CDN was very generous and he gave me a course that I'm studying on the other side of the phone. And it allows me to have a better understanding of understand why things are going on that happen. And you know, and when you call, to Shane's point, when you call on a load and you call an inexperienced broker that's just doing what they're told, you can doing this a while, you can kind of tell who you're talking to, just like they can tell when they're talking to someone inexperienced on the carrier side. So these are things that you have to have in your head. And the less emotional you can get, the more clarity you can have to navigate through something like this when you see a load like this. Let's go back on the comments here. Wow, you guys have been commenting like crazy. Oh wow. I'm behind. I apologize. Gary Compton, these low boards are getting crazier by the day. They are. Load, one pick, three drops, 2-day run, rate 1600. Oh no, give me 24. I might get it out of the might get out of the sleeper today. Wheelburner, good morning. I'm only 35 minutes late. My wife had to phone me and tell me you're on because I still don't get That's weird, Wheelburner. I blame the Canadian government. I canceled that effective May 10th. 123 low board. Here we come. Also got the check finally last Friday that the broker from that broker 70 days since delivery. You're going to start seeing a lot of that. So I'm glad that they're paying you, Don, but you're starting to see, actually it started last year, more length in payments from brokers. Thank you, Rob. Denver dry man, please. We can look at that. Give me a minute here. Let's see. Good timing. Steve was just saying he was worried sick about you not being here. The hair on my back of my neck was standing up, T-bone. I had a sense that there was something wrong and then thought, damn, I better get over there. You guys are funny. Interesting for what if, folks. What if Bud Light Tri-Man loads start paying $3 a mile? Would you run it? Judging by their $4 or $5 billion loss, they ain't going to be ponying up any load movements because they're not moving any products. So that I doubt that will happen. But I will move. Look, I hate soda, but I'll move it if it's paying right. Right. Marty says it's snowing in Michigan. It's freezing in Kentucky. Good morning. Um, Interstate Texas. We can look at that. I got a 2K minimum for the New York City. You lose like 500 in tolls. Right. I think Shannon ran that area. She was mentioning on Wheelburner's feed last night that it's $240 in tolls. And I don't even think she crossed the George Washington. Snow showers for Cabbage all week. Plus, Oregon charges 24 cents a mile for the privilege of driving there, for the privilege of dodging the homeless camps, right? Shoot, actually, both you and Snorelord, I need to sleep. Well, tomorrow, 3,800 from New York. New York down to Winston-Salem in a van, direct customer. I just wish they were all like that. Yep. We found your other channel and sub to it. Feel free to throw it up on our next live, Don. I wouldn't start my channel for 80 cents. That's funny. And here I debated that rates would get better in March or April. I was so wrong. Well, I told you were going to be wrong. I had my best week this so far this year. Good deal, Mark. Make more money driving Uber and going home each night. What's going on, brothers? Start the week. I'm already broke down in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Blowout tire. Dang, that's a hell of a Monday. It's been cutthroat. It's look, the brokers are scrambling for this volume as well. So a lot of them are underbidding on, they're going below the cost of everybody. And it's an effort to stay alive. Rats on a sinking ship. Remember, carriers are doing it, brokers are doing it too. When you're at the bar trying to meet someone, do you even think about the nose or just move on to the next attractive person? I was never a good flirter. I never went to a bar and met chicks. I was never that guy. I was too shy. This could be the last gasp for traditional brokers. An AI broker software run by shippers will soon shove many brokers into another line of employment. Use your rate is offensive versus cost for the loan. I already read that one. Some cheap rates are 100% customer driven. As recently, I've been in this situation where my customer told me they need to be at a certain rate in order to get their customer order. There you go, straight from a broker there. EPS is now owned by Ryder Logistics. I was not aware of that. Oh, good deals. Good deal, Greg. Pale Rider, what's up? Didn't FreightWave says 1 million drivers need to get out of the industry from recent carrier bankruptcies? Anyone tracking if those drivers left or found new driver jobs? They said 1 million. I knew that ODW was saying 30%. I guess that might equate to 1 million. So, very interesting indeed. This whole, well, I could just go back to being a company driver. That may not be a valid plan at some point. All these companies that were making bank on the spot market and started, paying their drivers 70 cents a mile, they're probably not in a good place right now. And the ones that are hauling contract freight that were paying pretty good rate per mile, man, what if contract rates start dropping? They already are. And that's part of the cycle. Contract rates go down. Stuart, if people are so ignorant to the emotions that brokers try and play on, there is a thing called fear of loss. Don't let an emotion be a deciding factor. That's how sales are done, Stuart. Here's the deal. I watch the Weather Nation every single morning. I want to keep an eye on the weather. I'm a weather buff. I love it. I'd be a storm chaser in another life if I could. I'd be that guy in the armored vehicle going directly to tornado. I love weather. Okay. Now, they have these sales. It's a company called Bulbhead, right? They've got these things that sometimes it's sunglasses, sometimes it's these things that you put on your coat hangers, and sometimes it's flashlights. And they're like, you know what they do? They've upped this, right? They've upped they're trying to up their sales, and what they do is they go, oh, there's a limited amount of supplies on this. So you better order now because this could be gone. Fear of missing out. FOMO for short. And that is a sales tactic. Why do you think the spot market had so many people start their authorities and get into it? Because they had the fear of missing out on the sky high rates that everybody knew that we were going to get after the shutdowns were over. That's the difference, right? So don't let fear be a deciding factor. Because think about it. Let's say you need a load home, right? And there's only 2 loads on the load board, and your cost can't support you just deadheading out, whatever, to get home. There's a little bit of fear that comes in and says, if you push this too hard, you're not going to get this load. And if the broker senses that, he's going to take advantage of that. If I got a load that comes out of Salt Lake City, Utah, that's going to Springfield, Missouri, and I call them from a 417 number, they know that they have the leverage if they're smart, if they even look at that, right? So there's don't let fear affect your decisions on what to do and what not to do. But it's an old school sales tactic that's been around since the dawn of time. Oh, you don't want to miss out on this, right? Oh man. So I'm a broker with no sick days in 15 years and no vacation in 10. Will AI replace me? I'm sort of a robot already. Glad we finally heard the last of the driver shortages, right? You're wrong. Our contract rate has not changed. So that's good, Thomas. That's good. You've got good contracts in place. I know other people that are doing well with the contract rate, but there's a lot of contracts that are going to start to go down. And if I remember during the shutdowns, a lot of the Pepsi stuff did go to the spot market because it was cheaper and you were told to go home. So that potential is there. I remember you telling me that. I remember your dispatcher telling you, hey, now's the time to take vacation because X amount of loads have been removed off of us because they're going to push them in the spot market. You told me that. If they're concrete now, great. Ride that wave until you can't. I've always said that. I know some of my previous employers have significantly more employees than they need. Some call it a starve them out. I think they're trying to keep them so they don't have to hire when volumes rise. Sounds like another trucker protest is going on. Who knows and who cares? Reports carriers and broker bankruptcies, but no one's reporting what happened to the employees. Maybe you can investigate. That would be a good investigation. But so many shippers will replace their crappy brokers with AI technology. Smart brokers like yourself will also integrate AI technology to provide as better service to your customers. Says CB. Well, I don't believe 30%. If there was that many drivers flooding the market, why are truck lots full of trucks? Where have all those drivers gone? It was just 6 months ago you couldn't buy a truck. Yeah, now that you can, they're buying them. Here's the thing, Cool Truck, and I see the emails in the applications that Like Trucking gets. And once Jeff made it public that we have a lease operator, we were flooded with people that still want to buy a truck. Now it's getting harder to buy a truck on your own. So supply and demand, right? Now I did notice that, I met up with Charles Anderson. I met up with him at the TA there in Stratford, and 6 o'clock he was still able to find parking, no problem. Which is rare for that TA in Stratford. Usually 4 o'clock, you're gonna have to bust out some backing skills. So, you know, you're probably right. AI is not in place yet, but I do see it coming to improve customer service, and that's how they're selling it. Look, you can see the ads right there on FreightWaves. Look, 90% of the snake oil that they were selling at Matt's was all computer integration, analytics, AI, factoring, all that kind of stuff to, you know. Stuart, transparency will ultimately drive rates down even more. I agree with that. Creates a more competitive market. I wish they would. I'd go home and take a trip in my motor coach in a heartbeat. There you go. I'm surprised you're not doing that already. But if you're making good money, you're making good money, right? Stack the cash. With both feet, thank you for the Cash App. Can I get another guitar pick, please? Both my drivers play guitar. Can't give just one a pick. Yeah, just remind me, text me and remind me, please. And I'll get that in the mail probably today or tomorrow. So, bean counting software, right? TJ, what's up? So, anyways, Denver vans. Someone wants to see Denver vans, so let's do that here. So let's go to find loads. Denver, Colorado. Let's do a 200-mile radius. Going anywhere. Van. We'll do today and tomorrow. Apply. I've already got van set up, so search. Denver to Tempe. Posted for $1.37 a mile. Here we go. Denver to Portland for 4 cents a mile. I'm guessing that's a typo. Well, maybe not. 4 cents a mile. That's funny. Let's say they might have meant 500, but still, that's still 50 cents a mile. So yeah, there's a story here. There might be a an office bet too. Let's see how low we can go here, man. Obviously, there's look if some look. Here's the other element of I don't understand. If something like this is there's got to be a reason, right? If something doesn't make sense, there's got to be a reason. The homeless drug camps in Portland, Oregon. The people that control the city still drive to work, right? And if they're not doing anything about it, there's got to be a reason. Figure out the reasons why they're not doing something about it. There's got to be a reason why this has been posted for 4 cents a mile. Either it's a partial, either it's a mistake, or it's an office bet, or it's just to make you, the person that actually calls on that, they know that they like, right? So who knows? But yeah, so what that does is it skews the average numbers out a little bit, which is what I like about cargo chiefs. Aurora to North Little Rock. They got it posted for $12.50 at $1.31 a mile, which is actually not bad coming out of Denver for van. Picks up tomorrow at 12. Full pay in 3 to 5 days. So let's take a look at this broker. Sureway. They are pre-approved by Thunder, and they are a TM member. And their trans credit is 99, so not a bad credit score, so that's good. Let's look at what the highest paying load is coming out of Denver right now and where it's going. Yakima, Washington, $2.19 a mile. Picks up tomorrow. They're at 26. Cargo Chiefs at 29. Everything else is that's still got Golden to Hayden, Idaho. I wonder if that's beer. Yep, 44.5. That's gonna probably be beer. So you have to look at your beer permits. See what you need, if you need anything. And they're right about where it needs to be for the average there. So, but then what are you going to get out of Hayden, Idaho? So you got to take a look at that. So let's scroll down here. How many loads are coming out of Hayden, Idaho? There's 10. 20 out of Idaho completely, but 10. So, and then let's take a look at those rates. Not very good volumes. And what are they? They're going right back to Colorado. So let's take a look at that. Lewiston to Colorado. Not bad on the averages. So that might be a lane. That might be a lane. Washington to Colorado and back. Golden to Albany. Concord, North Carolina. A lot of those. Let's take a look at one of them. They're at $1.31, 2,100 for 1,600 miles. Plate trailer, empty. These are empty cans. Yep. If you see something out of Golden and it's light, it's going to be empty cans. I've done those loads. Nevada, Arizona. There's also a lane that I've seen, Arizona to Colorado and back. That's another lane I've seen. Yeah, yeah, it's not ideal, is it? Denver to Yakima may be the prettiest ride in America. I imagine you're right. I've never done that particular drive. I've been to Yakima, I've been to Denver, but I've not gone in between the two. So I've never been west of Denver as far as on 70 goes. But as far as like, I've never been on the other side of that Denver on that particular stretch. I've been west. I mean, I've been all over the west, but it was under a. Well, I did go up to Idaho with my Landstar truck, but that was in the summertime. It was a light load out of Laredo. It was a good paying load. It's one of the better paying loads I did. I actually paid off my pickup early after I did that load. So, anyways, let's look at flatbed. Everybody's wanting to jump to flatbed. I don't recommend doing that because it's going to suffer the same fate as everybody else. And the cost of entry is a lot higher, so it takes a minute to recoup your money. A lot of yellow going on in West Coast here, so let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at Washington. Tacoma to Utah. Here we go. Burlington, Washington to Houston. Takes you southeast. Southeast is the best area for flatbed. 48,000. Cargo Chiefs around $1.82. The highest has been $2.07. The lowest has been $1.54, and they're at $1.39. I'm sorry, they're at $1.36. Let's take a look at Texas here. Now, before I do that, let's hover over this number. So look at Texas here. 749 loads outbound, 1719 inbound, but then look at the interstate, 962. So let's take a look at those. So you click on here. I know Marty was curious about intrastate in Texas. I think he wanted van or reefer, but this gives you flatbed. So notice a lot of the 320, 317, 311. So one of the things that here's a good strategy. If you have your Texas intrastate, if you have Texas intrastate, which we do over at Like Trucking, you can make a pretty good rate per day running, bouncing around Texas. They got cheaper fuel. You're looking at, well, prove me wrong with these $350 loads, but let's sort by rate per mile. That's for all the shorties. But look at this. That's probably heavy haul. Either that or it's a typo. 46. Here's a load paying $25 a mile to go up to from Houston to San Antonio. It's probably a typo. But if you do by sort by highest rate, and a lot of brokers will do this to get you on top, to get their load on top, which, in my opinion, is a sign of I need to get this load moved. So you may not get $4,600 to go, that many miles for 184 miles, but you might be able to get them up a little bit. 2,500 to go from Pasadena to Denver City, Texas. 2,240 to go from Houston to Sunray, Texas. 660 miles for a 1-day rate. That's not bad. And you could do that with any platform. So let's do Wisconsin, but let's do it for van. Right? So we go back to here. We look at Wisconsin. There's only 16 interstate loads posted, but let's take a look at them. Let's see what they're doing. 531, 525, 525. So you can look at a state and see whether it's profitable to do that intrastate. So let's take a look at van in Texas. Let's look at intrastate. 1,200 from Laredo to Farmersville. 1150 Laredo to Wilmer. El Paso to Grand Prairie, 1100. These are all, like this one right here, 471 miles for $1,200. El Paso to Brookshire, 710 miles. A little bit low on that one. But still, that's a day and a half, depending on what. Brookshire, that's going to be a grocery shipper, so that's probably going to be a 2 day. I think Brookshire only, I think it's like super early in the morning, like 3 and 4 and 5, I think. Gee, Steve, how do you know that? Because I've done it. Laredo to Grand Saline, 486 miles, $1,000. Houston to Laredo, 946, 262 a mile. This is very interesting because I have not been going in or out of Texas simply because of the rates. But this interstate stuff, this is pretty interesting to me. And then you got, Worldwide showing their ugly face. Dallas to El Paso, 617 miles for $800. Meanwhile, the rate check, let's click on that one. That's Wednesday. Cargo Chiefs at 981. Depending on the situation, bottled beverage, non-alcoholic. So that's going to be Coke or Pepsi probably, or fruity drinks like juice or whatever. The soda in disguise, as I call it. Rate check. So they're about where they. Yeah, I don't know. I'd struggle with the rate on that one. So as you can see, the interstate in Texas is actually Not bad for van. Let's take a look at reefer. Oh, wait. I did that wrong. McAllen to Cleburne, Texas, 1572 for 495 miles. Looks like England's got a bunch of them. Laporte to Amarillo, 619 miles for $900. Probably would want to come up a little bit on that one. Dallas to Victoria. So let's click on that. Laporte to Amarillo. See what the averages are. Cargo Chief's showing 14. They're at 900. The high and low is 890 to 1242. It's beer, so need to check, see if you need a beer permit to pick up and deliver and go through Texas. You can check that on Convoy's website. That's where my resource is. So let's look at the backhaul. There's only 2 loads coming out of Amarillo. Well, let's do staying in Texas, right? So let's look at those. It looks like it's Paducah to Houston, 121-mile deadhead. So you definitely would want a stronger rate on that. Let's see. Really not much different than van on the interstate with reefer. So McAllen to Claiborne from Custom Pro Logistics, which I have no history with them. Picks up tomorrow, delivers the next day, 6:30. I have no experience with them, so I don't produce tomatoes, so maybe that's why there's some money on this, because it's produce. So there's no room for error. Looks like they hit all the right marks on the brokerage side. So, and then let's look at the volumes coming out of Cleburne. See this? Look at Dallas. Yep. So that's probably a good it's a good lane there. This is how you recognize lanes, by the way, people. Or at least that's how I do it. You might do it like you might have some weird other I would love to learn other methods. But Missouri's got a lot of interstate. Well, not so much anymore. Let's take a look at that. Interstate, there's only 4 loads posted. Kansas City to Carthage, Macon, Missouri to Carthage, Kansas City to Carthage. So obviously that's a lane. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at Kansas City to Carthage. Picks up 1 p.m. today, delivers at 9 p.m. tonight. That's going to go to the caves usually. There is one receiver there that is not in the caves, or 2 actually. It's right off the interstate. There's plenty of parking in the area. You can probably get to Lamar and or even the Joplin Petro and still be good on parking. 33 and change on the weight. But look at the average rates. 462 or 642 on Cargo Chief, 941 max, 662 minimum on the green screens. It's been as low as 550. So when I tell you that Missouri Interstate is taking a dump, I mean it. So um Trucking since when and never went west if Denver. I've been west of Denver, just not on 70 there. I've been to all states except Nevada in a truck. Went to Ontario, went to Washington, was late on my Fife, Washington load because I miscalculated how bad the mountains would slow me down. Been to Portland a couple of times. Been to Idaho a few times. Been to did a 10 stopper, 8 or 10 stopper in Montana. Used to go through Wyoming all the time. I used to do steady runs from Kansas City to Salt Lake. But you're going through Wyoming, not Colorado on that trip. So used to live in Arizona. Used to go up to Maine all the time for as a company driver. So yeah. So there you go, JoJo. Good morning. Scorpion, been running Arizona, Colorado for years. Can be really good. Cheers. Uh, Everybody check out Scorpion Truckers channel. Give him a shout out. I posted one of his videos on the community, so check out my community post and you can see it there. Who knows, Don? I just literally got a text losing a client, but I'm gaining 2 clients this week, so who knows? Thank you, Cool Truckin'. Steve, have you listened to the new Metallica album, 72 Reasons? I've halfway through it. So I'm halfway through it. Snorelordians. That's funny. Remember to cut your toenails. It's flip flop season. Spring turkey tastes great. I bet. Snow just melted in my neck of the Canada. My brain is just unthawing from winter. I'm just kind of going through these because I gotta be done with this. The 3 things I miss about Canada is Timmy's, Canadian tire stores, and Labatt's on draft in no particular order. Thoughts on Savannah ports? Governor Kemp just reported. I don't know what he just reported. So, new rail system online starting in Port of Savannah. CSS Rail taking massive amounts of containers to drop lot in Atlanta. It's definitely going to change the dynamics. How it will remains to be seen. So that's about the only thoughts I have on that. Sorry, Stokes. In Canada during April, May, you can get sunburn one day and cold rain or snow the next. End of May or start of June is when it generally gets warmer. In Alberta, wait 5 minutes or a day, it will change. Goal for state of Georgia is to reduce 1 to 16 truck routes and improve ship unload times. Look, it's very clear that they want to eliminate the trucks. No one's screaming trucker shortage anymore. And if they are, they're lying. They've always been lying. So, I believe that will surely drop locally many loads to Savannah to Deadhead out. Yeah, that's the thing. Savannah's always a hot spot. And so what that's going to do, that's going to affect one of the customers that I utilize out there in the southeast. So that's probably going to affect that. So that's interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. That'll help with the traffic flow in and out of the Savannah port. Look, here's what Vid did, right? Here's what the Vid did. It established how inefficient everything is. And so they're working on warehousing, they're working on efficiency, they're working on making sure that the spikes that we saw in 21 never happen again. That's the reality. They don't want to be paying $4 a mile to move cans of Carbolicious. They don't want to do that anymore. They don't want to pay $15,000 for a container anymore. They never want that to happen again because that killed a lot of small businesses. And so they're going to figure it out. And you're on the chopping block. That's the reality. So you got to figure it out. Catching the replay, Josh. Thank you. There's a broker I worked with a few weeks ago based in Springfield, Missouri that I liked. I bet you I know who that is. Smooth, what's up, man? All right, guys. That's it. ATA is screaming about driver shortage, not as loudly, but still screaming about it. You know why? Because a lot of the companies based with the ATA make money off of bringing new drivers in off the streets. That's the reality. That's why they scream. So the government will give them subsidies to bring these people into a CDL situation. That will never change. It's interesting that the ATA is talking about driver shortage, and meanwhile the rest of the company is like, oh, we need to lose drivers. Well, a lot of these drivers that are going to go out of business, they can go work for the ATA companies. There you go. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody that's come in. Make sure if you're watching the replay, I appreciate that too. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if you're not subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that. 48065 for all the tools except for Cargo Chiefs that you see. 30 days free. $35 a month after that. Cargo Chief is an add-on for about $20 a month. Gives you some pretty accurate numbers on what the freight bills are going for. Also, if you're interested in come over to Like Trucking and you have your own truck, we have some open trailer spots, and that's liketrucking.com. And then also, if you want to support the channel, there you go. Thomas Wilson says that I cannot get rich off of YouTube. I want you guys to prove him wrong. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. If you don't understand, figure it out. Peace.